In our next case, Gregory Lee Johnson burned an American flag during the 1984 Republican National Convention in Dallas, Texas. Kathy Drew, Assistant District Attorney for Dallas County, recounted the facts. A police officer
saw several of the protesters bend a flagpole and remove an American flag. They then handed this flag to Mr. Johnson, who wadded it up and stuck it under his T-shirt. The march then proceeded. The officer testified that when they got to City Hall, he saw Mr. Johnson remove the flag from under his shirt. He tried to light it with a cigarette lighter. It would not light. Someone from the crowd then handed him a can of lighter fluid. He soaked it, ignited it, the flag burned.
Johnson was arrested and was
convicted under a Texas statute which prohibits desecration of the national flag.
Study guide. What difference, if any, is there between burning a draft card and burning an American flag? Hint. What was the purpose of the law banning the burning? The court ruled for Johnson by a 5-4 vote. Justice Brennan wrote the majority opinion. The majority applied the 4-factor O'Brien test. Specifically, the court had to decide, quote, whether Texas has asserted an interest in support of Johnson's conviction that is unrelated to the suppression of expression. Texas advanced
two compelling state interests. One is the preservation of the flag as a symbol of nationhood and national unity. The second is the preservation of a breach of the peace.
With respect to the second of these interests, the court found that, quote, no disturbance of the peace actually occurred or threatened to occur because of Johnson's burning of the flag. With respect to the first, the court found that the state's concerns about preserving the flag as a symbol of national unity only becomes a problem when a person's treatment of the flag communicates some message. That is, when someone destroys that flag. In other words, the law was aimed at banning the expressive content communicated by the conduct of flag burning. During oral argument, Justice Scalia asked,
"Will you give me an example where somebody desecrates the flag in order to show that he agrees with the policies of the United States, right?"
He added,
"His motive will never be to honor the country. It'll always be to criticize the country."
In other words, a ban on flag burning will only censor one type of expression, those who are critical of American policies. Not only was the regulation aimed at suppressing expressive conduct, which would give rise to strict scrutiny, but it was actually aimed at particular viewpoints. Viewpoint discrimination is virtually always unconstitutional. The majority concluded that Texas's law was related to the, quote, suppression of free expression. Therefore, the O'Brien test was not satisfied, and strict, rather than intermediate scrutiny, applies. Finally, the majority found that strict scrutiny is not satisfied. The state's interest in preserving the special symbolic character of its flag violates the bedrock principle that the government may not prohibit the expression of an idea simply because society finds the idea itself offensive or disagreeable. Justice Scalia would often cite his vote in Texas versus Johnson as a case where his constitutional views did not align with his political views.
If I were king, I would not allow people to go about burning the American flag. However, we have a First Amendment which says that the right of free speech shall not be abridged, and it is addressed in particular to speech critical of the government. I mean, that was the main kind of speech that tyrants would seek to suppress. Burning the flag is a form of expression.
Our final case, RAV versus St. Paul,